Welcome to A Seat at the Table, a podcast powered by The Ice House, a place for courageous conversations empowering diversity and community in business. You are part of the conversation and have as much to say as anyone else.
Kim Hill. In the last 30 years, Kim has worked with hundreds of businesses as a strategist, a coach, a mentor, a consultant, and a marketing expert. She's the founder of Stratigi. She hosts workshops, advises government organizations, entrepreneurship centers, academic institutes, and more. Kim has a real passion to see Māori and Pakeha businesses succeed and support wāhine in leadership. A businesswoman herself, she understands what it takes to grow successful businesses. As a business coach, Kim's philosophy is strategy for meaningful impact. Also, Kim is a facilitator at the Ice House, and we love having her as part of the whānau. Mm-hmm. Welcome, Kim.
So exciting to have you on the podcast. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Liz, for that introduction, and thanks, Bri, for having me.
No worries. We like to start our seat at the table with a nice open question, and that is, who is Kim? What are you passionate about?
Well, who is Kim Hill? Like many of us, we wear many potai, many hats. So, of course, I'm a proud mum of 3 sons and proud nan of 6 mokopuna, so boys didn't waste any time. But also, I guess a business owner celebrating 20 years this year. So,
I should have mentioned that because I knew that.
That's cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
If you asked the 16-year-old version of me, I would have told you that I wanted to be a vet, a rallycross driver, a singer, and actress. And I always tell my boys I've been all of those. But I guess the Kim Hill 2023 is that business owner, passionate about business, passionate about, seeing our businesses in Aotearoa succeed, really passionate about contributing there.
Why is that important to you? Where did that come from?
Just in my earlier years, I guess it just sort of, I fell into it, I think, where I just had this absolute love for business and found myself around, the kitchen table, I guess mentoring, advising, giving nuggets, then being asked to speak at, economic development sort of agencies like Hamilton Enterprise Agency and speak to be your own boss. Programs.
Yeah,
so
nice. Okay. Yeah. And is it a thing about New Zealand and your love for seeing New Zealand succeed, or is it meeting these amazing people and getting them on their way, giving them their wings?
Yeah, I think, good question, because when I think back, it all came from owning my own fitness centre.
Right.
In my late 20s, which is just a wee while ago. And I often say that it was the best MBA I could have ever had.
Brilliant.
Hard industry, had 2 other business owners, business partners in that time. And I guess I really fell into really anchoring my leadership style and self-reflection, and definitely, that entrepreneur, that innovator, made those mistakes but learnt really quickly, won some nationally recognised awards and sold it as a plant, so made all those courageous decisions and learning.
Been on a journey.
Yeah.
Awesome. Speaking of that journey, what has been like a standout, milestone moment and also a deep valley challenge as well?
Yes. I sort of feel like I've had mountains and valleys. There's a couple that I can think of. And so certainly owning my own fitness centre in my late 20s. Back then, believe it or not, I was actually quite shy. So I remember really being involved in the industry, but being that quiet person trying to think, what is my answer going to be when this leader is asking what does leadership mean to you, and full of males. And I remember quietly thinking, oh God, I've got it wrong. And I thought that I said leadership for me was about leading by example, and wouldn't have my staff do anything that I wouldn't do, and empowering and inspiring. And the guy turned around and said, Kim, you're the only one who's got it right. And I guess I started to grow in my confidence. Instinctively, I guess, knowing how to lead people and manage, move between that leadership and management without knowing, I guess, all that entrepreneurial stuff was really alive and really showing itself, but also making those courageous decisions around selling the business. And I think that's the mountain, but also a bit of a valley.
Yeah, wow.
Is making the right decision to sell it as a plant, to exit, I guess, the business relationship, which didn't serve me because it was different leadership styles, and also the developer of, I guess, the piece of real estate that we were in operated quite differently, which didn't sit with my value structure. So really courageous decision. I remember, just really feeling quite upset about that courageous decision. Took some of my own advice, which was to garden probably for 3 weeks and not go out for coffee with any of the great business opportunities that I got, or the career opportunities, and just to have space to, I guess, grieve what was, because I loved the industry. Wow. But embrace and try and think about that next, so it was a real mountain and a valley.
Yeah.
And I guess...
Yeah, and it amazes me how many people have said that closing of a chapter has been, or selling of a business actually specifically, has been a highlight mountaintop moment, and then the next day being the deep valley. Yeah. Because it's that highs and lows, so completely hear you on that one.
You've got a real passion, and it comes through in numerous ways, and at times, over the time I've known you, Kim, but you've got a passion for supporting others in business through the coaching and mentoring. How did that all come about, and what's the story of building a career around that?
So definitely, I guess, coming out of owning the fitness centre, I definitely knew that I needed to be my own boss again, but I also knew there were other things I wanted to put in my toolbox. So I sort of embarked on, I guess, some careers in publishing and sales and marketing, and a bit of ad agency amongst it. But all through that journey, I guess, I found myself once again, being pulled back into lunch meetings, sort of mentoring or advising, and having all those conversations around what decisions, asking the right questions, I guess, is often, and I had that real strategic head, and I guess a lover of people, so found people were drawn to, I guess, me, and through that, I guess, I started to find myself sort of outside my real day job, I guess, in these spaces of talking on programs, or advising or giving advice, I guess, in the marae or around the kitchen table in my lunch breaks. And it was sort of in the ad agency, I had people coming to me as clients, like there was Mike Tamaki from Māori Tamaki Tours, they were seeking me out to work with me. And so the owners of the ad agency really supported me to branch out on my own, because they truly acknowledged that people were coming because of me, and I got shoulder tapped by Te Puni Kokiri to be an expert specialist mentor, and sort of Stratigi was born. Cool. And awesome.
You mentioned when you had the fitness centre that you garnered that confidence and how important that was. How important is confidence in the business owners that you work with?
It is everything.
How do you get it?
How do you get it? God, I think it was back in the fitness industry that I had to really silence my naysayers. I had to name my negative Nancy, and really keep her in check, because as you heard, when I was asked what leadership was in a national fitness conference, I'm trying to hide, thinking, please don't ask me because I've got it wrong. So I really had to channel, I guess, that way of how do I start showing up? How do I find my authentic self? And I think still to today, it's a work on. And it's something even I teach in a lot of my programs or with people. I say, no matter how confident you are, we all have this negative Nancy who starts narrating, or negative Nigel.
I like that you name her or him.
Yes.
I'm going to do that. Negative Nancy, yeah.
The power is then you can actually, there's a difference when I say, oh, shut up, Doris, I don't need you. I've got this. And something happens, like your posture even changes. And I remember teaching aerobics, because yes, I was an aerobics instructor.
I can see it.
Back in the 90s too, with all the fluoro. And I literally had to channel my negative Nancy, because I literally was seeing everything that was going to go wrong. And I really had to pull it in and say, you've got this. And I remember completing the step Reebok class in those days and thinking, wow, I didn't forget any moves and I didn't trip up, and
nice. That's really great advice. Thank you. I'm going to put that in my back pocket.
And it's cool to hear that, because you are such a confident person, and to hear that everyone goes on a journey of building confidence is really cool. Yeah, it's cool to hear. And now you're supporting others to build that confidence journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ties in a lot into strategy for meaningful impact, which totally stood out to me. Strategy for meaningful impact. It totally underpins what you do. What does it mean to you, and how does that influence how you work?
Well, I think if we just go back a little, Bri, I think when we first start out in business, and I believe my accountant back in the day was a good friend, said, all of us in business do it. We take every piece of business that's coming to you, and that's the big learning. That's the big learning, because it's not always what serves you. And I think now I can stand really tall and say, I want to have real impact. So I want to work with people who want to get shit done. And when I talk about meaningful, I want the relationship to be meaningful. I want to add value, and I literally just won't work with someone just for the sake of getting shit done or the fact that it's a contract. I want to get under the hood. I want to work alongside them to really add value. And so it's really important.
Have you ever had to say no to?
Yes. And it's still to this day, even though I know that I've established a really great reputation and people will say that to me across the country, still saying, I don't think we're a fit, because I'm still a business owner who still wants to make sure that cash flow's king. I just still courageously will say no.
What? Courageously and confidently. So to me, it goes back to the confidence to be picky and choosy. And maybe it's revenue that would be nice, but not if you have to compromise something to do it.
What are some of those rules or guardrails that you have to say, look, it's not right. It's not you, it's me.
And you're right, because I actually do say, I think I can refer you somewhere else where there's a better fit. I think it's all around the when I think about some of the entrepreneurs and founders or business owners that I work with, I want to ensure that we can have that wider whole person relationship, and so it's about that safety, but that courage to, I guess, embrace the journey with me, that sometimes I'm going to say things that your mentor or advisor should be saying to you and not just stuff that you need or want to hear, and that you're actually on the journey and committed to the momentum, because I never look to change anyone, but I think if you actually if we can't exchange healthy, robust, courageous conversations, then I don't feel like I can actually add impact, so I'm going to get frustrated.
So they have to be open to courageous conversations. Nice.
That's brilliant. That's cool.
What's your experience, in the context of this conversation, what's your experience been as a wāhine in business?
to authentically be me and to really ignore the boys' club. Be really clear on how I show up. So intentionally think about, as a wāhine, how do I show up and to remain, I guess, a woman and a wāhine. And I think about, Liz, there was way back in the day, you know, back in my sales and marketing day, there was this client and I went into a meeting with him around some strategic marketing plans, and he sat there and he said to me, wow, you're actually really intelligent. You know what you're talking about. You're not just a pretty face in a short skirt. Now, I didn't have a short skirt on at all, but I did say, thanks. And I said, but believe me, if I had the legs to wear a short skirt, I would be wearing it. But it was sort of quite an aha moment, thinking, really? Did you not expect me to have a brain? So I think that started helping. I said, nudge me along and go, people are going to see me for the fact that I'm a wāhine and I'm a woman, but actually I do know my stuff.
Yeah, totally. Is there still a boys' club?
Definitely. I've seen it around the governance table.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Damn.
Yeah.
Is it being flushed out?
Oh, that's been a good journey for me, and a great question. Again, I felt quite alone around the table, but I guess I sat there thinking, no, I will stay taka and pono, keep my integrity around what I stand for, and that I needed to raise the matters around what is governance and what is management, and to back our people. And I just got the silent treatment, and the back started turning, and there were a few, we should catch up, Kim. And I just stayed strong, but it felt lonely. It felt lonely, but I guess when I look back now, it served me well in adding, I guess, another layer to that resilience, or showing up as me.
I think it served the country well. But it's people like you that progress us all, and that bravery and that being courageous and standing your ground serves the country well. Not just you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I just didn't want to be that yes person around the table. You know, I either needed to exit being on that board or add value.
So maybe that's part of the answer, but I'm going to ask the question anyway around what does a seat at the table actually mean to you?
Well, I was really honoured and excited to be invited to be around the table, seat at the table for Icehouse, because I really love being part of the Icehouse whānau, and it just everything, the whole community and everything that we stand for in Icehouse, and I say we because I do consider myself part of the whānau, even though I have my own business strategy. Our values are all the same, you know, we are totally there to support Kiwi businesses, and it's something I'm passionate about, and you know, we're a team, you know, and so being here to hopefully contribute or have some of our Icehouse community hear my voice or my story, I felt excited and honoured.
Thank you.
Very cool. We love having you part.
Goes both ways.
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just live and breathe that passion for Kiwi business owners and leaders, so very cool. I do want to ask that question. I want to get your perspective on it. What does true diversity and inclusion mean to you, and how can businesses improve in this space?
A toughie.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And yeah, it is a big one. I guess I've never given it a title. However, I think it's how I'm made up. It's actually in my DNA, you know, because I'm a big believer in authenticity, and respecting everyone. Some of my clients will often say, particularly in that Māori space when I'm working with them and they'll be talking about cultural issues, I'll say, these people are only doing what's in their lens or what's in their learning, you know? So respecting everyone else's perspectives. And I remember an amazing Māori environmentalist based in Wellington, and she said that was such a good takeaway for them, to be okay in a lot of the projects they're working on with council in Wellington, and go, actually, you know what, it's okay. These people are only doing what is within their knowledge or their perspective. So I sort of feel like it's always been me. To embrace diversity and inclusion. And I guess added to that, I think coming from a Te Ao Māori perspective, we're all about connectiveness and inclusivity. So it's sort of just easy to sort of embrace that.
Yeah, totally. And so then would you encourage a business that's going, how can I authentically see through a different lens to, what would you encourage them to do in that space? Definitely
just that. Actually get out of their comfort zone and actually with good intention decide how they can show up in that space of diversity.
Great.
And ensure that what they can commit to, they're actually implementing. Because I think that's that wider discussion, isn't it, around we all say it, but I think we need to intentionally ensure that whatever we adopt in a business, we can actually sort of hand on heart say, we're doing it.
Yeah, brilliant advice.
And often it starts by admitting you've got to acknowledge what you've got right, but you also have to admit what you've not figured out.
Yes.
And be prepared, as you say, with intention to go on a journey, because you don't just flip a switch and go from, not focusing on it to getting it right.
Yeah. Because it could be as easy as thinking, how do we add diversity around our board or our governance, or how are we educating our leaders on what diversity might mean, and it's rather than trying to, I guess, find something that our wider, bigger companies are doing, even our SMEs, our smaller businesses, we can add a piece of it as long as we're doing it and we're contributing.
And why is that important to businesses?
Well,
why is that diversity important?
Well, Aotearoa is diverse. The world's diverse. So I think that sometimes we're only, again, doing what we know. And if we can broaden, I guess, that diversity piece in our leadership and our people or our community, then I think we bring a renewed perspective, and relevance to the world that we're in.
Yeah.
You've got this ability, Kim, to navigate both Māori and Pakeha worlds, and that's, in my opinion, incredibly valuable and unique. How does it influence your approach to business strategy and to coaching?
Has a big influence, because I think, but firstly I want to say, as Māori, we're entrepreneurs. So when we look back in history, we were building communities, we were trading, so that is in our DNA. But I guess the key thing for me is that being Māori and and approaching everything in an inclusive and interconnected way, what I always say is, no matter what your whakapapa is or heritage, we're all human beings, and we definitely love the whole person approach. So if you want to strip it right back, the fact that a Te Ao Māori way of working means that I'm just coming to every client with the whole person concept, ready to embrace whatever their needs or journey is, because again, whatever your whakapapa or heritage, you're a human being. And I think that whole approach is not exclusive to Māori. I guess it's something that I know I can walk between the worlds and stay authentically true to that approach. I think brings real value.
Yeah, that's great. Very cool. You do a lot when it comes to supporting businesses and their growth, and you've grown your own business, you know the hard mahi it takes. In your experience, what are some of the common hurdles that stunt business growth?
Definitely business growth phase, when we're ready to scale. You know, you think about the entrepreneurs and the founders or the business startups, it's much easier to start something than it is to grow. And I think that's when the wheels fall off, or the opportunity for the wheels to fall off, because we're adding more people.
So true.
And it means that we can't have those staff meetings with just a few in the tea room. We need to think about, should we get a board? Yeah. So I think the growth phase is where the wheels fall off, so the need to embrace good advice. And I often talk to business owners right then and there about people and processes and systems are the only way to grow and scale a business. But also some of the courageous conversations I've had is when founders need to sort of acknowledge that they have taken the business to exactly where they could, and that they're still the superstar, but we might need to bring a GM in who has some certain expertise. So sometimes courageous conversations around structure, adding additional people with a different skill set who actually might be the general manager. And so that's just delivering that and working through how that might look, and then being comfortable, I think, with that. And most are, if it's delivered well.
Yeah.
And they still understand their importance of their roles.
Do you think confidence plays into business growth? Like, people have a level of confidence and then there's like a bit of a brick wall, or not really?
Oh, definitely. Definitely, because you're taking that next risk, that next big leap. Often when you're scaling, you know, you're putting your your assets or yourself on the line. You're making bigger investments, or you're, you know, going that next scale of a manufacturing plant, or you're exporting. You know, it really does.
Or do you think it's blind optimism? Because entrepreneurs do have that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know, they do say that a lot of businesses are being built on sheer, laser focus and perseverance themselves. But hey, I think we still need a good foundation.
Yeah.
And I guess it's about working with people like us, and getting amongst the community of Icehouse. And, I just see all those things as really important. Who's on that business journey with you? So it's actually acknowledging that we don't do it on our own, and, you can still be that superhero, like I'm saying, or that amazing founder, but you just might need to bring some other experts on board to help you achieve that next big growth phase.
And often what that is that you bring is perspective that they can't get themselves. And with that, their confidence isn't there because they might see it as too hard, or they're not capable enough. But if they can step back or bring someone in like you, Kim, then they get a perspective, and that might change the way they see something, and therefore their confidence may go up. And they may be willing to have a go at something, or, as you say, acknowledge that they need some more capability to help them do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like coaching can be like, kind of go two ways. It can be someone that just like is accountable, someone that really confirms what someone has already put in place.
Absolutely.
And wraps the confidence around. And then in other cases, it can be, whole new strategies and things like that. But the amount of people I've heard just within the Icehouse community saying, my coach just gave me the confidence to just go on the idea I've been sitting on for 2 years, or just gave me the confidence to go, your strategy's great, let's do it now, let's implement. And I just think, it can be in two ways, but there's so much power in both.
And I think that's such a good point, because I remember someone saying to me, and they were down south, going, I just feel more confident because I know that you've got me and that you're there. So I guess like you're saying, we've got their back. We're there. to support them, I guess, and to be that sounding board, but to also, I guess, have those wider, bigger conversations.
Totally. And some maybe be like, well, what's the value in someone saying, yes, you're on the right track? Huge, because you wouldn't, you're not sitting on it for 2 years. You're actually
absolutely, yeah. I mean, goodness, we all need validation, don't we?
Yeah, so true.
How do you know when you need a coach, or if you need a coach?
I think when, as a business owner or founder, when you recognise that you're too much in the business and you need that support and that accountability piece to have the discipline to be pulled out and take that helicopter view of your business. And I think, that's what I certainly see is that discipline, or those meetings with me, is you've got to have it in your diary as rocks. And it could just be monthly, but it is about that accountability and a time to, I guess, work on your business and not in it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Is it like when the wheels start falling off, when you go, okay, this is just getting ridiculous, I need to speak to someone? Or like, how do you know when you're so in it that you can't see the wood for the trees?
I definitely would love to say that it's not when the wheels are falling off, but I think our reality is sometimes we get in those situations and then we start reaching out or exploring where that support is.
And I think what's interesting there is what the wheels falling off to one person could look very different than the wheels falling off to someone else.
Yeah.
Nice. So true. That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good thoughts. I'd love to hear what is a learning you would tell your younger self, or maybe a female that's early in their career and business journey?
There's so many, but I guess the first thing would be to actually really back myself, and I think back to, we were just talking about, taking too long to get a coach and that. I mean, the positive thing for me was that I guess I always sort of people didn't realise they were mentoring me. I was already sort of like honing in and sort of jumping all over, I guess, their expertise or their learning. So definitely backing myself. Be sure you surround yourself with the right people. Yeah. So certainly if you're the most intelligent person in the room, you need to get a new group of sort of network and friends, because I used to try and make sure that I was surrounding myself with people that I wanted to be like, or I could soak up and learn more from. And silence the naysayers, because there's always going to be someone. I thought about that when I jumped into the fitness industry and the gym. Man, did I have everyone telling me why I shouldn't and that I was crazy, yet I had a vision, and I actually did achieve a lot of that when I was in there in those 5 years. So silence the naysayers. And the other thing is probably, I don't know whether you can tell me to do this now, but I always think do the inside work, because when you know yourself, you show up with more confidence and vulnerability.
Yeah. Where is someone, if that sparked something for someone listening, where can they start to do the inside work?
Well, there's truth in saying that we need to slow down to speed up, and getting to know yourself and how you're made up. Yeah. I had a real valley in my life, if I think about it, which was being diagnosed with a really rare brain tumour.
Wow. Know that.
20 odd years ago. So that really stopped me in my tracks and forced me to sort of put things in perspective.
Wow.
And think about, I was always driven, but driven and doing what, where was I going? What did that look like? From getting diagnosed to having 3 weeks it was, to be prepared, myself and my family, to go into brain surgery.
Yeah.
Which was 9 hours, and so I survived, as you can see.
Yes. Weird thing.
Really bad haircut. It was really bad haircut. Half the side of my head shaved, 9 hours surgery, and then the euphoria of surviving, and then the next big piece of learning to walk again. But
wow,
so it pushed me to do further inside work.
Wow. From
not wanting to be seen because I had a bad haircut, because hair was important. So it's sort of, I always say don't wait for those moments like I had. So how can you surround yourself with people that have had those moments and can give you those little pearlers to say, stop, think about your purpose, your why. And I talk to a lot of business owners now, and just thinking about one yesterday that was reaching out to me through the Icehouse community around coaching, and I guess the conversation for me with him was, where do you see your life in 10 years' time? Like, what does that look like with your wife and your one child? And you've got career ambitions, but you're also telling me she does. So you've got to dive into that before our coaching could be meaningful. And so you got to know self a little bit.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Quite a journey of resilience.
Yes, that's what it taught me.
I can imagine.
The last question we always love to ask, Kim, is who's the one person, you're just talking about knowing yourself and your inner, but who's the one person you'd like to thank, someone that's been really influential in your journey?
There's so many I would love to name, but as a daddy's girl, I'm going to probably have to say my dad, and I'm really saying that because there were so many profound moments. Entrepreneurship was alive in him. He encouraged it around the kitchen table. He had a can-do attitude, try everything. And when I was making the courageous decision to sell the gym as a plant and to get out, he said to me, daughter, he said, those naysayers, just take a look at who they are, the ones that are going to criticise you, because I guarantee they sit on a fence and they don't take big leaps like you have. And then it was at that time that I realised, how instrumental the fact that being in business or having a can-do attitude and trying everything, even if it was performing ABBA in the garage and charging my family $5.
Entrepreneurship.
It was.
It sure is.
It was. I'd like to charge a little bit more now because I don't know if but so all through my life, he really was incredibly encouraging, and he's 79 today, and he still will ring me and go, daughter, what's happening in the Māori economy, and so just always really saying, I understand your grind or your vision or your passion. And so, got to be my dad.
Thank you, Dad.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
Love that answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kim, for sharing your story, your purpose, and your story of resilience too. I know it would have spoken to a lot of our listeners, so appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.